what you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
Footcandle Films. Film news and reviews from two guys who really like movies.
This episode is brought to you by the Footcandle Film Society. For a schedule of upcoming screenings and membership information, visit the Society's website at www.footcandle.org.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Footcandle Films here on themesh.tv. I'm Alan.
And I'm Chris.
And we're glad to have you here with us for our ongoing podcast where we talk about movies. Typically, we have some good film reviews. We'll follow that up with some movie news discussion. And then we always end up our episode with our recommendations of the episode. That would be a film that we think you ought to check out, hopefully online or maybe still in theaters. It's maybe not getting the love it should or needs to be have some reminder to you. So, Chris, this is a tough time of the year.
Yes, it is.
This is actually from a film-going standpoint. This is like the worst possible season of the year. Don't you agree?
Yeah, there's this, the desert of nothing really coming out, and you're waiting, you're anticipating.
If you're big on the popcorn movies, you got the summer. That's fun. Holidays, when big award movies come out. So really, you've got your right in the middle of spring and you're right in the middle of fall are kind of your two worst times. And I think the fall may actually be a little bit worse because at least in the spring, we're still getting some of the award films that maybe are starting to pick up some attention after they got their awards in February.
Right.
Here, we're really just waiting.
Yep.
So I'll go ahead and be honest with you guys listening to it. We only have one film to review.
That's true.
Because honestly, we've only really watched one film recently that's worth talking about. And there's just not a lot of other options. So what we're going to do with this episode is we're going to review a film called Blue Jay. And if you're kind of raising your eyebrow a little bit, wondering what this film is about, don't worry. We'll tell you all about it. It is one available online. And we're going to talk a little bit about even the distribution of this film later on in the episode as well. But it's written by Mark Duplass, starring Mark Duplass and Sarah Paulson. So we'll talk about that film in a moment. We'll follow that with some news and our recommendations. So we may go a little heavier on the news because we got some time to kill with this since we just have the one review this time. Right. We gotten ourselves so used to, Chris, to having 2 or 3 movie reviews. This is going to be like an odd episode for us. So let's just go ahead and jump right into our one review, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that'll work.
Let's do that. Let's talk about the film that you can now find on iTunes and Amazon and other places. It's the film Blue Jay.
Amanda.
What?
Would you like to have some fun tonight?
Yes!
It's never really been like it was with us.
It's almost like I don't know who that person was.
I remember her really well.
Things are just kind of changing now. I should be happy.
Do you trust me?
Well, now I'm scared. What are you going to do?
Chris, we do I've noticed we have a little bit of a trend, and I think it's like a pattern. Maybe we need to have like a special patented part of the show where it's the whole idea.
If we patent it, we can make money off it. So I'm all about
maybe.
that.
I'm not expecting this to be a lot of money involved, but imagine a little jingle where Chris and Alan don't know what film to review. So Chris and Alan pull up iTunes. Chris and Alan look at the iTunes list of recent discoveries or new independent films and say, that one sounds interesting. Let's watch that one. We did this with The Phenom a few months ago.
We did.
That was kind of okay, we've got nothing to review. Let's look on iTunes. And we found The Phenom. And we were both really surprised. It was actually one of your favorite films of the year, or at least in the running for it as of the time of our recording of that show. So we did that again with Blue Jay. So we need to have like a little jingle that every time you and I just go on iTunes and just spin the wheel and say, that looks good.
Right.
So the film Blue Jay, I think the thing that stood out for us and caused us to want to watch it and review it is written by Mark Duplass, starring Mark Duplass. Right. Now, Chris, you strike me as a Mark Duplass fan.
Well, interesting you say that.
Okay.
Because when we were kind of weighing our options as to what movie we were going to pick, you're like, oh yeah, has Mark Duplass. I like Mark Duplass. And I was like, really? And then you're like, okay. And we settled on this film.
Yeah.
You're right. I am a Mark Duplass fan. We have reviewed The One I Love in the past.
Which we both liked. You liked it more than me?
I did, I think.
Yes.
I think I'm pretty sure I liked it more than you. I have also recommended two Mark Duplass films on this show before, Creep and Safety Not Guaranteed.
Correct.
Safety Not Guaranteed, which you saw and were not as big on as I was.
I was not, but now I know he didn't direct it, even though he starred in it. Did he write that? See, I don't think he wrote that. I think he just acted in it.
I'm not sure.
And I didn't have a problem with him as an actor in that film. Yeah, I definitely, you strike me as, okay, you're a Mark Duplass fan. So here's my question for you on this. We have a film here called Blue Jay, which really is just about two people. It's Mark Duplass and then Sarah Paulson, who you may know from American Horror Story and some other things. An actress I really like, by the way, even going into this film.
Okay.
And the description of the film is, meeting by chance when they return to their tiny California hometown, two former high school sweethearts reflect on their shared past. That's it. I started looking at the trailer for this and reading about it. It kind of got me a little bit of a before sunrise, before sunset vibe to it, as far as a extended night of two people kind of catching up or getting to know each other a little bit. It's shot in black and white. It stars two actors that I generally liked and sounds interesting. So let me ask you, did this bolster your Mark Duplass fan club status at all, or did it actually bring it down somewhat? Because please note, he not only starred in it, he also wrote it. And I'm pretty sure he probably had some sort of production side of it too.
Let's talk about writing. Okay. This is on IMDb as a trivia, of which it shouldn't be trivia at this point with Mark Duplass. Trivia. There was no script. The actors were given a summary of the movie and their characters, and the rest was improvisation. Okay. Anybody who's watched Mark Duplass movies, such as Creep, I think Safety Not Guaranteed, I don't think was by him. I think somebody else directed that. But definitely Creep, Your Sister's Sister, The Puffy Chair, all of which I've seen. Like, he has this, there's the whole mumblecore movement, and it's kind of like they have ideas. Hump Day is another one.
Right, yeah, sure.
Okay, so some of which he directed, some of which he just starred in, but still it's that whole mumblecore movement. The fact that they would list that as a trivia, like the whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, I wonder if he wrote this. Sure enough, at the end titles, it's like he wrote it. And I'm like, okay, did he write it or did he just improvise it? Now,
I've got a whole theory on this, but go ahead.
That being said, I would think at this point, I've already listed off a bunch of Mark Duplass movies. I say I like him. I would think at this point, I would be done with Mark Duplass improvised movies or that are loosely scripted. I would think I would be done with them. And you reading the plot description like you did, everybody out there could be like, oh, this is not, especially people who might be familiar with it,
Just
be like,
two people talking.
Oh, two people talking.
For an hour and a
they're
half.
like meeting, and it's like, oh, it's a Duplass. Like, they could totally just write this off and say, there's no reason for me to watch it. If you don't like improvised stuff, especially things that you can tell may have been, then maybe this isn't for you. I really like this movie, and considering the simple conceit behind it, I actually wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did.
Yeah.
Because it's just so bare bones. It's just two people talking. It just seems like you've seen more Hollywoodized versions of this. It's almost like a dozen romantic comedies you could think of. And this isn't a comedy, by the way. I mean, it does have some little funny things in it, but it's more of just a straight out drama. Still, this idea has been done over and over again. It's just this was an independent film version of it. And I liked it. Do I think it's like a standout of the year for me? No, but that's okay. I still liked it. I will say something that I was not expecting, which has nothing to do with Mark Duplass and nothing. I'm not really familiar with the director. I'm not sure if this was like first or second
Alexander Lehman.
And I think he's also kind of responsible because it is, it's one of those typical Duplass type films where it's a very small crew. I think the director also was pretty much the cinematographer for the most part. I was not expecting the amount of cinematography and kind of the shot composition. I mean, it was in black and white, which I think was an interesting choice, but I think helped separate it from other Duplass joints that have been of this ilk. For example, Sister, it's like you're in a cabin with these three individuals this time, but still, and there's dynamics going on there with that. This was basically stuck kind of in a house with these two individuals. I mean, they walk around town for a little bit, but then after they meet up, they basically go to a house and sit there and talk and stuff. So some of the cinematography and the shots kind of surprised me at how well crafted they were. Because I figure for a movie like a Duplass movie, a lot of times it's a lot looser because the script is loose, the writing is loose, the acting is loose.
A little bit of handheld, a little bit more cinema verite, just kind of be there, not really worry about the cinematography too much.
Right.
Interesting.
So, which I've kind of revealed a lot of my thoughts about it. What are your feelings?
Let me go backwards on things. Okay, let me just kind of sum up a thought I've got about this film.
Sure.
And then I'll lead up to how I really felt about it.
Okay.
It seems like to me, I wanted to touch on the writing as well, because I agree with you. I don't feel like there was any writing other than I almost get the impression, and tell me if you feel this way about Duplass stuff in general.
Okay.
The writing is basically one moment. It's like, I'm building a film around one moment, and I'm going to lead to that one moment.
It's like they have the ending and then they work backwards from it.
I know I want a movie that has this scene in it. Then how do we build up from that scene? We can improvise to get there, but the goal is we get to that scene, we get to that moment, we get to this plot point. I felt that way with the one I love.
Oh man,
No.
I don't know.
I liked it. I liked it. It's just I do think it was all built up to this one kind of element to it, and I do feel like they were kind of pacing themselves to get to this moment.
I can agree. I think that has so much it's so layered and complicated.
It's a deeper movie.
I think there probably would have been a little bit more writing, but I see what you're saying.
But I do think in general, I almost get the impression with Blue Jay, it was Mark Duplass is sitting around and he's got a notebook that he keeps ideas for films in.
I think I've heard that something like this is actually the case.
Well,
that he does kind of have
and it's like, here's my idea, and I'm not going to say what the final scene of this film is or the one that I feel like he's building up to, but I think he's written that down and says, I want a scene where these two people, this happens. Okay, so how do I get to that point? How do I build something that's going to build and make that scene impactful? And that's what I feel like Blue Jay is. Now, that being said, I really like this movie. Okay. I thought it was really, really good. And it's not from a writing standpoint because I don't think it's a written film. Actually, the part of it that felt the most written was the end scene, and it's my least favorite of the whole film.
I agree. The end scene, this is going to sound weird. Yeah, the end scene was also my least favorite scene, but where they cut the end scene.
Oh, no, I agree.
Awesome.
The ending moment of the film was great. The timing of the ending.
Right.
It's just the whole last 10 minutes.
Agreed.
I felt like was the most over-scripted part of the film, and it didn't work as well. It was a little bit of a letdown after about an hour of 10 minutes of what I thought was just wonderful characterization of two people. I just got to hand it to him I do agree with the cinematography. I thought it was a beautiful film, beautiful to watch. I mean, there's something about black and white where the film just looks crisper and just, I can't describe it, but it just, everything visually worked on the film.
Well, and I have a problem sometimes with people using black and white just to make something like, why did they do black and white? And for this one, I couldn't really figure out at first, other than the fact, the cinematography was helped by it, but I was like, yeah, that's kind of a cheat though, if that's the only visually entertaining thing. But this movie, to me, was about people looking back and reflecting and memories. Yeah. So the whole black and white thing, it made sense.
There's at least a way you could tie that in. Yeah. I could see that. I love the film because of the natural energy going on with these two characters. And I got to say, I think Mark Duplass is fine. I don't think he did much different than what I've seen him do in a lot of other films. Sarah Paulson, though, I mean, I know this is a small film. I know it's not going to get a lot of attention. I honestly think this is like an award-winning performance by her. I really felt like she was that good.
She's really good.
She was that natural and both charming and devastating at times and just, man, I really, really liked. I think the film would have still been fine and something to watch if she wasn't the lead actress playing the part she did. But something about it, she just worked for me really, really, really strong. The two of them together were very good together.
Yeah.
The pacing of the film I thought was great. I mean, I thought it had a nice kind of slow build up, and then you kind of got into this rhythm where the two of them are together, and you have a feeling you know where things are going to go, and then it kind of takes a big hard stop, and I thought the pacing was really well done.
Yeah.
And I thought the improv was very natural, which it very much seemed like it was ad-libbing, improving these scenes, but it just seemed so natural. So when I feel like I'm actually in the room watching what's going on between two people, that works for me. And it doesn't matter if they're talking about paint drying, it's still interesting for me to watch and feel like I'm like really into this relationship.
And I guess that's what's strange for me is because going into this movie, having seen, I guess the one that I can really kind of say, okay, this film, Puffy Chair and Your Sister's Sister, they're very much about, to me, they felt very ad-libbing and like you're talking about, here's a point that we're going to get to and we're just going to work towards it. And seeing this kind of setup, I was like, I'm not going to be entertained by this because I already know what I'm getting into. But I was, and I think it just speaks to, I guess, Duplass, he's good enough at this that he picks people that he knows he can bounce off of and they can give as good as they take. And so, yeah, the chemistry between the two of them and the ad lib or whatever they were doing, it worked. And I think it is really surprising that it worked as well as it did. And yeah, I think part of it is I knew what I was going to get from Duplass. I had no idea. I'm not familiar with Sarah Paulson. I've heard the name, but I'm not really familiar with her at all. I recognize her face, but I agree. This is something I was like, wow, she's really good.
I mean, yeah, they perfectly captured to me two people who knew each other really, really well years ago.
Yeah.
Still kind of know each other, probably a little better than the people they're maybe are surrounded by in their life now do. And it's just, I don't know, it just the whole thing worked. And I guess, I'm at an age where I'm probably about, just a little bit older than what these characters are. I've got the same kind of distance between my high school years and now. And it's it just kind of worked. I mean, the things they're thinking back to and the moments and the memories, I'm like, yeah, I totally get how two people who haven't seen each other, but were so integral to each other's life, get back together, how they could honestly have a night with all these memories coming back and all these things that just click back into place. And it was just very natural.
I think speaking of that, and I think the one sequence that really worked for me, even though I guess it was improv, but I think surely they had to have a little bit of ideas for it, was the dinner scene and the anniversary scene, the mock anniversary scene.
Yeah.
And and the dance with Annie Lennox.
Yeah.
It was just very clever. And I think because same thing for me, distance wise from these people, the ages they were trying to hit at, it's right in my wheelhouse. And so, it was just kind of like While We're Young with Ben Stiller. A lot of things that hit on that movie.
Sure.
Kind of in this way, totally different type of movie, but the fact that it kind of hits my age range and speaks a lot of truths about high school and about, I don't know. It's
just that this was a better movie, but...
Oh, wow.
Sorry. I don't need to go down that path. So I liked While We're Young, just not as much as you do, if I can recall that.
Right.
Well, yeah. So Blue Jay, I thought it was a nice surprise movie. Again, I didn't know what to expect. It was just fun to watch these two people. And, it was an enjoyable watch.
It was.
Again, do I wish the ending were a little less scripted, a little less... There again, I just kept imagining that's the scene they were shooting for. That's what they're building to. And they get to it, and it just didn't seem like it fit the rest of the movie as much.
Here's the thing. You have not seen Creep, correct?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. I think it's kind of cool, and it gives a very nuanced Mark Duplass performance that you haven't seen yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I was surprised by that because I thought it was going to kind of be the same type Mark Duplass unscripted performance I've had everywhere. This, because I'd seen Creep, and it's kind of it's an unsettling movie. I'll say that about Creep.
Sure.
This movie, I was afraid it was going to get odd. Mm-hmm. And, we've alluded to, there's the last 10 minutes, there's something that's revealed. There's something that kind of comes out. I thought it was going to go in a different kind of direction. And I think in a way, I would have liked that better if it had been less, not predictable, but just, I don't know, less scripted, you were saying. And I think, because I know that Duplass has that in him.
Yeah.
And so, in a way, I was kind of let down, but still like the film overall.
And I do think, and again, I don't fault a film just because I'm clever enough to figure it out where it's going.
Sure.
I don't fault a film for that. There are films where I've gotten to a point now where I pick up on hints and clues and notes really, really quick just because that's what I'm doing. I'm watching these films a little bit more with a critical eye. So when they're playing back tapes that they'd recorded, there were some moments in there that kind of told me, okay, I know what the issue is between this couple. So at some point this is going to come up. I can pick it up right away. Just something that was mentioned and their reactions to how they were very unsettled by a certain comment they made in a recording back from 15, 20 years ago.
Right.
So I guess when it got to the point, it wasn't like, I don't know if they were expecting it to be like a gut punch shock, but it wasn't for me. It was like, yeah, I kind of felt like this is where it was going to go. And at that point, I just felt like their dialogue just shifted. It became very scripted. It became very, okay, let's have a very dramatic scene with these two people. And again, that's where it just...
It's kind of like they had to figure out a way to end the movie. And so you're like, okay, we'll have this dramatic beat and then we'll kind of wrap things up. Yeah.
I agree. The final shot in the parking lot was great. Right. The way it ended, the moment there. It's just the build up to that last 10 minutes. It's just, it didn't work as well for me. But again, I thought it was a great film. And, hey, for it to be something you can find on iTunes, like basically the week it's released to the general public and watch it at your leisure and spend a few bucks to rent it, it's a pretty good deal. I mean, I thought it was a good movie to watch for that situation. So,
yeah. We've done this before. So after the show or whatever, after we do it, I want to do a spoiler for the ending. And I want to say what we're going to fix Blue Jay, even though it's not broken, but I'm going to give what I think would have been better.
Good. I'm anxious to hear that.
Something,
so I think
but
we can do that.
The movie was still good. I still recommend it. But.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a nice surprise. I think if this had been one that was getting all this Oscar buzz and you'd heard about it, all of it, and I'd go to see it, been like, it was all right. But the fact that I knew nothing about this, go in. This is just a helpful hint to all of you listening. This is the reason why you try to go into movies with as little expectations or beliefs as possible, because you can find yourself enjoying it so much more. So I'll just say that, a little public service announcement out there for all of our listeners. Of course, in my movie news, I'm going to be talking about movies that are heavily, heavily anticipated and also kind of fighting against my own advice. But a film like this, it really worked nice not knowing anything about it. So.
Here's the thing, too. I want to see Mark Duplass. He's been in like Zero Dark 30, which was like, he didn't have a huge role in it, but he was in Zero Dark 30. And that was kind of like an Oscar movie. I want to see Mark Duplass like in an Oscar movie because I really like him and I think he'd bring some unusual tone or something to it. I don't know. Or I want Mark, maybe he's not interested in doing like a big movie, but I'd like for him to like write a big movie and be a part of a big movie because I think that would be interesting to see like what he would bring to it or how it would be different, I
know he had an HBO series. I think it's still running for
Is that
a while.
The League?
No, that was on FX or some
which I've never
cable.
watched.
I've never either.
Okay.
But he has an HBO show that has just started this past season, I think, and maybe it's going into the second season. But so, starting out on FX on a basic cable show, kind of going to some of these movies, getting an HBO series now that he's the lead in, you're seeing it slowly elevate the stature a little bit, or at least his recognizability, I'm sure.
And it seems like he does a lot of work. It seems like he's very busy. So good for him, I guess. Yeah,
absolutely. So that's Blue Jay. And like we said, it is available on iTunes or on Amazon now. I mean, honestly, go rent it now if you are in the mood. It's a short movie. It's an hour 20, which is a nice
for an unscripted
Chris Fry
movie,
approved length.
That's right. It doesn't drag.
That was good.
Absolutely.
All right, Chris. Well, let's take a quick break. We come back, let's do some movie news, and we'll do our recommendations. And since Chris has now requested it, after the recommendations, after we close the show, we will do a little spoiler time about Blue Jay and talk about how we would fix it if we had the opportunity.
We get paid to fix movies.
Right. This is what we're like. We're consultants for movie filmmakers. That's right. All right. Stay tuned. You're listening to Footcandle Films here on The Mesh, and we'll be right back.
We'll get back to your show in a moment. Just a reminder, you're listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Find out more at themesh.tv and give us feedback on what you like. And now, as promised, back to your show.
Welcome back to Footcandle Films here on themesh.tv. My name is Alan. Chris is across the table from me. Yes. We just finished our review of Blue Jay, a film you can check out on iTunes or Amazon now, streaming. And we may have a little bit more to talk about that film a little bit later in the news, or definitely after the episode's over, we'll do a little spoiler-filled discussion about the ending of the film. So, Chris, we move into our movie news. This is where you and I both just kind of doing some combing through the interwebs. We find some interesting movie-related news that we want to share with one another and get some feedback reaction to. I'm going to start us off. Actually, you know what? You've got more news items than I do. I'm going to let you kick it off. I'm used to kicking it off, but I think in recent episodes, you've actually been bringing more news to the table than me. This is awesome. So why don't you go ahead and go first with your first item?
So we did a bigger segment last time on, we called it Trailer Park, although we thought that was probably copywritten somewhere.
Probably copywritten somewhere else.
But,
so we're not claiming ownership of the title
No,
Trailer Park in any way, shape, or form.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But I do have, sadly, only one trailer that I saw purely by chance. But I have to say I'm surprised because I'm not going to tell you the name of it yet. I want to see if you can guess it.
Okay.
And then tell me why. Okay. Well, no. Okay. This trailer I don't think has any dialogue. Mm-hmm. And it is set to a song. And it has convinced me that I'm actually going to like a superhero movie that's going to come out. What trailer am I talking about? Can you guess?
Okay, well, first off, let me just verify. Does the trailer have any dialogue? Or is it just minimal dialogue?
Okay.
Because I think I know which one you're talking about.
I've only watched it once. I think it's minimal.
It's
it may
minimal.
have some words in it, yeah.
And
but
would
very
it be
minimal.
a Johnny Cash version of a Nine Inch Nails song?
Yes, it would
Ding,
be.
ding, ding for the win. Logan.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So
Yeah.
your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, there again, we've talked about trailers before and how they can mislead you or get you excited. Specifically this time, as you mentioned, what pulled me in was they were using a Johnny Cash song, which was a cover of a Nine Inch Nails song, Hurt, that I really like. Mm-hmm. Similar to how when they used Radiohead's Creep for Social Network, or they used the Smashing Pumpkins, Beginning is the End is the Beginning, or whatever, for the Watchmen movie.
Oh, yeah.
That music just kind of so worked with that trailer. It was like its own little movie, and the movies could have never come out, and it would have been awesome. Mm-hmm. And maybe Watchmen would have been better if it hadn't come out. But all that being said, like, yeah, another Wolverine movie, another X-Men, whatever. But man, that music just seems to work. And I know the movie is apparently based on a comic book storybook line that came out about, Logan and all this kind
Called
of stuff.
Old Man Logan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which kind of works with the whole Hurt, feeling beaten down. And all. But man,
I could totally
have to
geek
say-
out on the trailer if you wanted
Okay.
to. I mean, it's
I'm excited. I think I actually want to see the movie.
so James Mangold, who's directing this film, also did the last Wolverine movie, which was called The Wolverine. Did you ever see that one?
I did. He went over to Japan. Yeah.
It was the better of a Wolverine movie. I know there's been two other ones, and the first one was really, really bad. And then the X-Men movies have also just kind of deteriorated.
Sure.
I thought the Wolverine was pretty good.
You never even saw Apocalypse.
No, have not.
Good for
if
you.
it's on HBO or something, I'll catch it. But yeah.
I would watch him.
So when I heard they were making another Wolverine movie and they were going to be basing it off the story, it's a aged Wolverine. He's older. He's actually losing his healing power, which is why you saw a lot of pain and agony with him, because basically he's not healing anymore.
Got you.
And it does take place in the future, kind of an apocalyptic version of the future, where other heroes and mutants and all are gone. He's trying to lead a very quiet, simple life. And anyway, it's a very popular story.
Okay.
And I saw the trailer. I was skeptical when I heard it was coming out. Saw the trailer. I'm like, yep, the trailer totally nails it. Whether the film does or not, we'll see. But it worked. I'm just excited about the fact that they didn't even feel the need to put the superhero's name in the title of the movie.
It's just Logan.
That, to me, is hopefully resonating of something that they're willing to take this a little more seriously and do something a little bit more skillful than just putting a whole bunch of people in giant robot costumes or suits or whatever and have a big CGI closing. That was the problem with the Wolverine, is that the movie was great until like the last 20 minutes, and then turned into a big giant robot samurai fighting him in like a giant laboratory, and it just lost it all. So I want a very serious film off of this story, and so far it looks like they'll do it, but
it
we'll
looks
wait
like
and
you may
see.
get that film.
I hope so. And it's going to be rated R also. So, which is another thing. They're following the Deadpool model of, oh, hey, rated R superhero movies can make money. So maybe let's go that route. So Yeah. No, I'm with you. It looks really, really interesting. I hope they keep that same quality of what they showed in the trailer.
Yeah. Me too.
Okay. Well, since you brought up a trailer, and it's a superhero related trailer, and since Blue Jay is the exact opposite of a superhero movie, I feel like we can balance out the show a little bit.
Okay.
Another trailer, actually a teaser trailer, came out for a film that I'm personally very much excited about. I'm thinking you probably will too, because I think you liked the first one quite a bit, and that's Guardians of the Galaxy. So there's another Guardians of the Galaxy coming out next year.
Right.
So a really short teaser trailers come out. It's one of the ones they release when they don't really have a lot of footage to show yet, but just enough quick glimpses to let you know it's coming. The same style and tone are going to be kept intact. It's going to be fun, blah, blah, blah. So it's James Gunn still directing and writing the films, just like the first one.
Got you.
Same cast, same style of the film. I mean, the shots that we do see, the quick bits of dialogue all seem very much, they're just continuing the same tone and style as the first one.
And they don't give you any hint of what the story is going to be?
Nope, not a bit.
Okay.
This is one of those where there's no plot mentioned at all. It's just quick flash of one of the characters, quick flash of another character, quick flash of another one. And then they had one moment of dialogue between two of the characters at the end of the trailer. That's it. No plot, no big picture what's going on. But just to let you know, don't worry. The film's going to be, if you like the first one, this is going to be just like the first one. So I'm excited because I really did like the first one.
Is it a summer release?
I think next summer, summer 2017. So we're about 7 months away or so. I'm excited. I'm glad James Gunn is back doing it again because I think his sensibility probably made that first one so much fun and a little more unique than the other superhero movies that were coming out at the time. So I'm looking forward to that. Should be fun. And while I'm on the topic, before I kick it back over to you, let's just go ahead and do the superhero trifecta and get it out of the way.
Okay.
So there was an announcement just this week about Deadpool 2.
Okay.
And
we knew there was going to be a second one.
Well, yeah, you kind of knew with as much money as they made. And actually, they even refer to a sequel at the end of the first movie.
Right.
Well, the director, though, who was going to be the director, same director from the first movie, stepped away from the movie just this week. Basically saying because of creative differences with Ryan Reynolds about the film.
Really?
So he has walked away from the film. They have not started shooting yet. But supposedly they had a script. They were looking pretty good to go. And now he's walking away from it. The rumor is, and again, I hate saying rumor, but I think it's interesting to kind of understand more how these director versus star creative differences can kind of come about. Supposedly, Ryan Reynolds and one of the screenwriters wanted the film to have the same kind of lower budget, smaller indie type of feel that the first one did.
Even though they could probably have a bigger budget and everything. Okay.
They wanted to keep it small. They wanted to keep it that same irreverence tone and small budget that the first one did, relatively speaking, compared to other big superhero movies. And the director, rumored again, wanted to go bigger budget, wanted to go bigger film. And that's the creative differences now that have broken apart. You saw Deadpool?
I did.
And you liked it.
I did like it.
You were, I think, pleasantly more surprised by it, if I remember correctly.
I was. I didn't think I'd like it at all. I didn't want to see it for the longest time because I was like, it just looks irritating. I don't think I'm going to like it at all. I got annoyed by all the overhyped marketing and everything. But I was let down by when they tried to have the bigger budget ending on a small budget because,
Same here.
I mean, maybe that was their purpose, was to say like, we don't have any money, so we're just going to use really cheap special effects and laugh at that and see how it's not expensive. But it just kind of annoying. I felt like, I think you've mentioned on the show how you felt like it was a cop-out where they're trying to be all, turn all the conventions on their head, yet they have a convention.
They still end the last 15, 20 minutes of the movie just like any other superhero movie did. Yeah, I agree.
So, which makes me, not really see how they can have a sequel that's not going to be, I don't know.
They need to have a sequel that's very meta about the fact that it's a sequel.
Yeah.
And just commenting on all the tropes of a superhero sequel and how they're going to try to subvert all those. I mean, that's
like
what you
22
want.
Jump Street.
Yeah, a little bit of that. Yeah. Just have fun with it. Have fun with the fact that superhero sequels, everybody knows what to expect. So you got to go into this and give people not what they're expecting at all.
Right.
I just thought it was interesting. And I'm always fascinated when a film can go into production and then just falls apart because somebody leaves or somebody else has got a creative difference with someone. And I'm always fascinated, like what's going on behind the scenes that kind of spurs those. And I could see that being an issue with this film. If Ryan Reynolds, who, granted, he's not the director, but he is a producer on the film, he really kind of helped make the film come about in the first place.
Right. And I can't see how they could make another Deadpool film without him because he was so, I don't know. A lot of people after the film came out and they saw like, oh, he was born to play Deadpool.
Yeah. Instead
of playing Green Lantern, which he tried to do and was not a good movie.
So, I'm sure from a studio perspective, hey, if Ryan Reynolds wants to keep the film small and he wants to do it, and of course, the smaller the budget, and if we still make money like we did the first one, we're going to be rolling in it.
Right.
I'm sure the studio is probably very appreciative of that.
Ryan Reynolds can retire at that point.
Yeah,
and never do anything again.
Pretty crazy how Ryan Reynolds was in so many films that just did nothing.
Went nowhere.
And now you do one that's a very unexpected hit, and it just became a worldwide sensation.
Yeah.
Doing a sequel, it's going to make tons of money.
Oh, yeah.
So he's pretty
It'll
well
make
set
tons
now.
of money, even if it's not good, because all the people that love the first film will go see it in that first weekend or whatever.
That's right.
So.
Yeah. I just thought some interesting news there with that. You have any desire to see a Deadpool sequel?
I will wait to see if anyone says it's any good. Just like I waited to see the first one because I think in a way there was, I did find some of it clever, but I'm afraid it would be kind of like the Austin Powers movies where you find the first one clever or funny and then they just kind of redo the same thing over and over again.
Retreading it and it doesn't work.
So I would have to hear like, oh, Deadpool is, the second one is good. Don't worry. It's still really good. They were able to keep the freshness of the first one. So I am not excited for a sequel. I will wait and see.
Okay. Fair enough. And I'm kind of the same way. Again, I wasn't really clamoring to see the first one in the first place. I went to go see it and it was fine. I enjoyed the first half of the film a lot more.
Sure.
So we'll see what happens with the second one. Chris, do you have something else for us to talk about, movie related?
Well, we're going to circle back and talk a little bit about, so we mentioned, Blue Jay. We thought it was, we talked about it. We liked it. So what struck me, and we've talked about movie distribution before on this podcast and
how movies get to the general public.
Right.
Through what methods.
Now you can go to iTunes, you can see our video on demand. There are these ways that you can see movies as they're hitting theaters or maybe like, not long after they do hit theaters. So it's just an interesting thing. Well, recently, Netflix has started doing original content. They had The Ridiculous Six from Adam Sandler, which gracefully I have not seen. They had some other Adam Sandler movies, I think, that were also original on Netflix. Then starting with, I think, Fundamentals of Caring, the Paul Rudd film that I recommended. It was like, that was an original and it was actually good. I was like, cool. So I was like, and Netflix has had documentaries that have come to Netflix that were good. Well, so you and I agreed to see Blue Jay. I hit play, I start watching it, and what's the first thing that pops up on the screen?
Hulu?
The whole...
Oh, no, I'm sorry, Netflix.
The whole boom, boom, Netflix. Like, I'm like, wait a second. I just paid to see this.
Yeah, I did
rent
the
this
same
from
thing.
iTunes. I have a Netflix account. And so I had heard that Netflix, they are starting to do more original material. And I'd forgotten that they actually do have some kind of deal with Mark Duplass where he is going to do a certain
really?
number. Yeah.
I didn't know
I'd
that.
forgotten about that until I saw that logo. I'm like, wait, is this the first of those?
Okay.
So I'm just kind of surprised, confused, and possibly a little irritated that it's a Netflix film, but yet they're getting money for it first, and then they're going to dump it in Netflix. I mean, how did you feel?
Well, I was just, as soon as I saw the logo pop up, I paused right away and looked over at Suzanne. I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" I was like, "Was this on Netflix?" And I immediately pulled up my phone, did a search on Netflix. It's like, okay, it's not on Netflix.
Not on Netflix.
So even though it says Netflix, just like it does everywhere else on Netflix, it's not a Netflix film yet. Well, I mean, it's not on the Netflix service. It did bother me, and it bothered me because I understand what Netflix is trying to do. They have some films that they want to have be eligible for award consideration. They have to go hit theaters.
Right.
I think Beasts of No Nation was
Beasts of No Nation was that way.
situation. It was a film they released, but they had to put it out in theaters in order for it to have any award consideration.
Right.
If you just release it through the service, it technically is not eligible for big Oscar awards.
Right.
So I get that. I get the understanding of having it online and in theaters. I don't understand if you're a company that your whole service is we provide movies for our subscribers, except for this one. This one we're going to put over on iTunes and charge $4.99 a rental. Yes, I know it'll eventually make its way to Netflix, but it's just, I almost wish they would have a spin-off brand. It's like Netflix Direct or Netflix something else, just to let people know, all right, you're a Netflix subscriber, but this is something we're doing as an offshoot.
Well, I understand Netflix started out and all they were was like an online blockbuster. And then they started doing original content. They started with shows, Orange is the New Black, House of Cards, all that stuff. And then they've shifted now to movies, narrative movies and documentaries. I get that. I think what I wish is that I don't care that they put stuff on iTunes. I just wish it could be on Netflix first to reward their subscribers who are giving them the money, and then make it available on iTunes for people who don't have Netflix.
Well, that's why I say it would make me feel better if they had that little sub-brand that's maybe related to Netflix but has a whole different name to it.
Yeah.
It just at least makes me feel like, okay, they're not ripping off our Netflix subscribers by not showing us this film yet.
Right.
They have another reason to put it out there, but...
and a reason why, and here's another instance where I'm sad because Hulu apparently got the rights and is doing everything with the Beatles 8 days a week, the touring years. I really want to see that, but you can go see it, I guess, if you have a subscription to Hulu. And and I don't, but I'm hoping at some point, and I guess they will eventually put it on iTunes so that you can rent it, because I want to see it. And I'm just like, that's sad. I feel like what are a lot of really good films are being isolated to individual services instead of ways people can get a hold of it without having to have a subscription, which I would hate to think going forward, the only movies that you can see generally available in a theater are going to be the big blockbusters. And anything that's not a big blockbuster is going to be divvied out to Netflix, Amazon, or Hulu, and you have to have a subscription to see it. That would make me sad. I don't want to have to have like 6 subscriptions.
Unfortunately, I don't see it getting any better. I mean, I really don't. It's frustrating for me right now. I mean, I'm an Apple TV user. I really try to base everything I do with an Apple TV because I don't like switching around stuff.
Sure.
But sure enough, Amazon comes out with some good TV shows that I want to watch. And there's no Amazon app on the Apple TV, and it's a whole different service. So I've got to figure out how to switch over to something on Amazon on my laptop to watch it. And it's like Hulu, Netflix. Okay, yes, I got to pay monthly for each of these if I want the stuff. The more stuff starts getting disseminated, we're getting back to the whole world of cable channels.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where it's just, okay, well, if you want this package of these channels, you got to pay this much per month and this. And it's not the promise I think we were all hoping for when it became this, everything's going to be available on the internet. We pick and choose the shows we want to watch and we pick and choose the things. No, it's still pretty much boiling down to certain channels that you either have or you don't have. And you got to pay extra for the channels you don't have. And some content is going to be on one channel and some going to be on another. I think it's getting a little frustrating.
I've heard comments, friends have commented. I've heard, seen things on Twitter about how people are frustrated with Netflix because they feel like the quality of movies that they get that are not has gone down.
Not original ones.
Not original movies from Netflix, but the quality of, let's say, the newest Star Trek movie or something like that. It takes forever, if it ever gets to Netflix, because they're too busy doing TV shows like House of Cards, or they're too busy producing content and not pulling in what people originally got Netflix for, which was movies.
Well, and it's not even that they're too busy, because, just landing a deal to secure a film and put it on your service is very little time is involved in that other than just wheeling and dealing the deals. Right. I think the problem is that they don't want you to come onto their service and see the new Star Trek movie and the new other big movie and another other big movie that you've heard of, because then you're not going to watch their movies and their shows because they want to have the front and center location. When you open up Netflix, they want to be the ones on the what's new and what's trending type of row. So it's a little bit, I'm frustrated too, because I look through the archives. I'm like, well, I've pretty much already added all the films on Netflix I want to see to my watch list. There really aren't adding any more movies I'm interested in seeing very often. Every once in a while, I may see one pop up that's like, ooh, that's new and that's interesting. I'll add it. But it's so rare right now. It's really the stuff I'm going there to watch is more the original stuff they're doing. So I don't mind that if Netflix wants to become like an HBO.
Which I think you're right. I think that's
what HBO wants to do. HBO is showing archive stuff because they can, and they got to fill some other programming time. But I guarantee you they'd be just as happy doing Game of Thrones, Westworld, all the original shows they do. And if people only got HBO for the original shows, I think they'd be perfectly happy with that. So then where do we go for online, like older movies? Like I hate saying older, but like 6-9 months old that were in a movie theater not too long ago.
Well, not to even mention
without having to rent everything.
Not to even mention classic movies. Yeah, it's like the only way you can rent anything is literally by renting it from iTunes or something. There's
Amazon Prime.
No one's going to have a library because it's too expensive.
Amazon Prime right now is probably the closest to you buy a subscription and you get a pretty good library of older films. They're putting out originals.
How Netflix used to be?
Yeah, it's closer to that, and they seem to be growing their collection a little bit more aggressively. Now, they are putting up originals as well. They've got Transparent as a TV show that's winning awards and is good. I think Mozart in the Jungle. There's a couple other shows I think Amazon's doing that you get as a Prime member, but they still seem to be very, very focused on the archive of video library and movies that you can tap into. But again, that's another service that you got to pay an annual membership to get to. It's people who were upset about paying $100 a month for cable bills and saying, oh, screw that, I'm going to discontinue cable and come out so much cheaper and just do everything online. You just wait and see how much you're spending in a few months and to get everything you want to get.
Well, and I have to say, I don't do Amazon and I don't do Hulu. So the only thing I have is just Netflix. Yeah. And I will say, if you're interested in documentaries,
oh, they're good.
And I wonder if this is going to be the year when Netflix wins an Oscar for a documentary, because they've got some really impressive ones. The two that I've seen recently, this kind of gets into recommendations, but not really, still in news. But 13th, which was done by Ava DuVernay, who did Selma. Yep. It, like you're saying, they released it to, I think, New York Film Festival, and it played there. That was like their opening film. And then it slammed right onto Netflix. Yep. And I got to see it, which was kind of cool, but I just happened to have a subscription. So that was really good. And then out of nowhere, I saw a documentary, Amanda Knox, which is a Netflix original, which I don't remember that whole crime case or a couple of years ago. I was very fuzzy on it. It kind of came back to me watching it. That thing's pretty disturbing and pretty amazing. Sure. So those are two really strong documentaries that Netflix has the rights to. So I'm wondering if if that happens, who knows what, with that kind of notoriety, who knows, maybe Netflix will just be original content and documentaries.
Which, if they keep up the quality they're doing, I mean, they're not all going to be hits. They're not all going to be stellar. Some of them are going to have Adam Sandler in them. That's just going to happen.
Sorry, Adam
He's
Sandler.
Got a deal where there's more movies coming out with him in there.
Right.
But I mean, even going down to the TV show side, the Marvel shows on there, which I think are really good. They're fun. They're a little more adult. They're a little more just interesting to watch. And I'm a huge House of Cards fan, so I'm locked in on Netflix. I'm happy.
And I have to say too, something that has me curious, and I wonder, having seen what they did with Blue Jay, and I don't know, maybe they just thought, okay, we're going to get this on Netflix anyway. We own it. Let's see how much money we can make releasing it to iTunes first and then throwing it. I don't know what their thinking was. Last thing I'll say though. Duncan Jones. He gave us Warcraft this year. Have not seen it. I do want to see it at some point. Sure. I was hoping it would come to Netflix where I can see it for free, but I can rent it from iTunes. Right. But I do want to see it just because I'm a big fan of Moon and I really like Source Code. His next film, which I think I talked about as a news item on the show, he's already shooting it. It's called Mute. Yep. Netflix has the rights to it.
Yes, they do.
So I'm wondering and it seems like kind of has Paul Rudd in it. Seems like it's going to be kind of a big budget type thing.
Well, you think about their ramp.
And it's science fiction. It's kind of like a Brazil type thing. I'm wondering, are you going to release this, or is it going to go, or would it be like released in theaters like normally? It's just you have a huge Netflix logo up there instead of like a 20th Century Fox. Like, I'm curious.
I wonder. This is my crazy speculation.
I will say, just a little side note, I am glad that he's able to do a really interesting looking movie after not having success with Warcraft. He's still getting funding somehow to go do this movie. So.
Well, here's my theory about Netflix, and I don't want this to be the case, but I'm afraid it will be.
Okay.
They started with TV shows and they started building it up. Well, actually, they started with older classic films or archive films.
Right.
Then they dipped their toe in the water of TV shows. Their first couple TV shows weren't really that great. Lilyhammer,
yeah.
a couple others.
It's like a Sopranos knockoff.
Yeah, but then it was like House of Cards. Okay, now that was quality for us. They're doing the same with documentaries. They tiptoed into documentaries. They did a few. Now they're getting some that are just wow, and these are going to be Oscar caliber documentaries.
Yeah.
I think movies are going to be the same way. They've dipped their toe in the water. They've done a few. They're doing the Adam Sandler ones because those are probably low risk for them. They can, they know they're going to get the return on them.
Right.
But they're like the Duncan Jones. That may be one of theirs to say, okay, this could be our House of Cards, where this really sets us as we are now a movie studio doing really good movies.
Right.
My fear is that at some point they have tiered subscriptions where it's like, if you want to have the newest releases of the ones that we're producing before and not pay $4.99 at iTunes for it, or not have to go see it in the theater, you got to pay a higher level. But if you want all the archival stuff that we've had out for a while, you pay this. That's what I'm fearful of, and I hope is not the case.
Yeah.
But there is a model where they're not going to be able to keep pushing these films out to Amazon, iTunes to sell them and still keep their subscriber base as happy as they
Because
could be.
people are going to get like irritated and be like, well, I could just.
Why would you go to a movie theater if you're going to see the Netflix logo up there? If you paid $10, $15 a month for Netflix at home.
Right.
So I think they're testing the waters, but they're going to have to kind of figure out where they're going to fall on this thing, I think, at some point. I am perfectly happy for them to push brand new films out to Netflix. It's great. And if over time their monthly rate goes up a little bit because they're producing more original content, they become truly like an HBO. HBO, you pay $15 a month for. Netflix is still in that 7 to 10 range. So, are you going to pay for higher quality over time? If I find myself getting more entertainment out of Netflix on a regular basis and they're putting out even more original movies, if they want to charge me a couple bucks more, I'm not going to balk too heavy on it. That to me, that's just like, okay, well, that's one less movie I got to rent on iTunes every month, So anyway,
Interesting.
we'll see what happens. It's a very interesting time for the whole film distribution right now. But I do love the fact that 30 seconds after deciding to watch a film, a brand new film, independent film, I can watch it.
Yeah.
Would I rather watch it in a movie theater? Yeah. But would I rather not pay $9, stand in line, and go and not know if it's going to be any good or not versus watching at home? It definitely was a better experience for that. So anyway, interesting conversation.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll have more to say about it in future episodes as things continue to evolve with that situation. Are we ready to go to our recommendations?
Let's do it. Yep.
All right. So this is at the end of the show. We always come up with our kind of a recommendation for something at the end of the show that we want to highlight for you, a film that either we think you ought to catch back up on, maybe something that fell under the radar for you, or just something we just want to revisit from years past that we just want to kind of bring back your attention to. And this is typically something we've watched recently. Mine is that case. I don't know if yours is, Chris, but as far as us actually watching it or if we're just recommending something from the past, either way. So, okay, let me go first.
Sure.
Be all right. So I like animals.
Talking animals.
This one is not a talking animal, but I do like movies about animals. I have a soft spot in there. I have a soft spot for very sentimental sports movies. I have a soft spot for sentimental movies about animals. And then giant monsters destroying cities, which that doesn't come into play here. So I had read a lot of reviews, and actually I think that maybe even Roger Ebert had like a really stellar review of this film that I had heard about, but I didn't really pay much attention to. Hachi, A Dog's Tale, with Richard Gere.
Never heard of it.
Okay. There you go. That's the key message here. So it was released in 2009, starring Richard Gere and Joan Allen.
Okay.
And it is a story about a dog that is adopted by a college professor and his family. And I don't know how much I should say about...
Sounds like a Hallmark movie.
It does. It does sound like a Hallmark movie.
Or it
I
sounds
will
like
say
a
this.
lesser-known version of Marley and Me.
It is a much better made than a Hallmark movie. And it's a much less sappy than a Marley and Me or something like that.
Okay.
It's a little more a mature film about a family and their dog. And it does get sentimental. It does get emotional. It actually ends on, I think, somewhat of a down note compared to where I thought it was going to go. But it's based on a true story. It's actually based on a story in Japan, I believe, like an Asian country where. Okay, this is not a spoiler because this happens like in the first third of the movie, but the whole rest of the movie is based on it.
Gotcha.
Basically, this is the story of it's a true story of a dog that is adopted by this gentleman who's a college professor. Mm-hmm. The college professor and he would develop a very strong bond. And then about a third of the way through the movie, the college professor dies in an accident.
Okay.
And the family's traumatized by it. But he and the dog had this thing where every day he and the dog would walk to the train station together for him to go to work. And the dog got taught so well that he would go to the train station with his owner. Owner leaves on the train. The dog leaves to go home.
Okay.
Then in the afternoon, when the dog heard the train whistle in the distance and knew the train was coming, he would run to the train station and sit there and wait for his owner. Owner's now dead. This is the dog, again, true story, that actually was still showing up at the train station every single day, waiting for his owner to come off the train, staying until late at night, like sitting there, just waiting. There's actually a statue that was built for this dog in that country where this happened.
You say this happens in the first
30 minutes.
30 minutes of the movie.
I mean, it's really the key. I mean, if you read any of the summaries of the film, that's what it talks about. So,
I'm curious what the rest of the film could be, because it doesn't seem like it would kind of end.
Well, maybe halfway through the film's when it happens, but it's based on a true story that supposedly has some popularity behind it. Anyway, I may have just spoiled it and ruined it for anybody watching it, but I don't think that's a spoiler. I just think it's just that's kind of where the story's going. So it does become very emotional. I thought this film was good. It's not great. But it's just to watch a film that is about a man and his dog and then not get so overly sappy or so overly cute and then just intentionally just jerk on your heartstrings. This is at least a true story. They've adapted it for an American location, but it's still the exact same story of what happened in Asia. And it's a little higher level class than some of these other dog movies that you could see.
Okay. So if you're in the mood for a dog movie.
Yeah, if you're in the mood for a dog movie and you don't mind crying and being very upset, I think it's a pretty good movie.
Okay.
It's just, you don't normally see a higher caliber film about this subject matter. So I gave it 3.5 stars out of 5. So I'm just saying it's not great. It's not perfect.
Okay.
But it is, I think, at least a somewhat interesting film to watch. It's not one that the kids are just going to love because it's not super fun. It doesn't have like fun big montages of dogs going crazy and doing silly things.
Okay.
And it does get pretty depressing after a while. But I think it's a well-made film. So,
okay.
Anyway, I'm recommending Hachi, A Dog's Tale.
Okay. Well, that is interesting because I've never heard of that. So
it's actually been on a couple critics like their favorite film of the last however many years. A few of them out there anyway. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to recommend a film that came and went in theaters. I think you can get it on iTunes, and maybe Hulu or Netflix will be nice enough, benevolent enough to stream it eventually one day. But it came out in 2016, and let me read you a plot description before I tell you the title. Mm-hmm. A divorced father and his ex-con older brother resort to a desperate scheme in order to save their family's ranch in West Texas, eluding a local lawman. That's it. So it's like, okay, that seems pretty cut and dry, kind of boring. It's like a crime type, thriller type thing. Mm-hmm. Well, the name of the film, because I think you should see it, which is why I'm recommending it, is Hell or High Water. And it stars Jeff Bridges as the lawman who's kind of the aging, grizzled lawman. Imagine if Big Lebowski became like a policeman. Not quite as funny as Big Lebowski because this isn't a comedy. Mm-hmm. It's a crime drama. But I really liked this film. I thought it was well shot. And it gave me a whole new appreciation for Chris Pine, who is Captain Kirk in the Star Trek movies, which I was kind of like, take him or leave him. Mm-hmm. I think he's really good in this. Ben Foster plays his ex-con older brother. Yeah. And it's a very Ben Foster-y role, but I still liked it. Plus, the conclusion of this movie, kind of the end scene, and it's dialogue, but man, is it good. Really? And it couldn't have ended any better than how it did. It's just, to me, it was very satisfying. So, Hell or High Water, highly recommend it.
And if I could comment on this, it will actually be available online November 8th. So
Okay.
we're recording this on October 20-something. So not too long after we publish this episode, you can actually check it out online. I've added it to my watch list. I personally think Chris Pine's really good. I think Chris Pine gets a bad rap just because he's in a lot of big Hollywood movies and he's asked to play off his charms a lot.
Which is the whole Star Trek thing.
Yeah. The Star Trek thing is, let's make him kind of a cocky, suave guy, kind of like a James Kirk, but a newer version. Right. So he's very much typecast like that.
Sure.
But you're saying he's really good in this film.
I think he's good. And, gives me, I think we hinted about it. Here again, going back to trailers and superhero movies, they're everywhere. But he's in the Wonder Woman movie coming out.
He is. He plays Steve Rogers.
Yep. And I think that could also be good because of that involvement in it. So
yeah.
But Hell or High Water is my recommendation. Check it out.
Okay, absolutely. I added it to my watch list, and I know it came to the theaters for a short period of time, and I missed it when it was out there, but luckily it'll be available soon. And I will say my recommendation is actually on Netflix. Like a Netflix subscriber, if you get in the mood, you can actually watch it there. So, all right. So Hell or High Water and Hachi, A Dog's Tale are two recommendations, two very different movies, but that's okay. We're all about variety here on Footcandle Films.
That's right.
And of course, we had our review of Blue Jay, which we both liked. I think I liked more than Chris, but we both are saying we liked it.
Yeah.
So we both give it a thumbs up, a positive rating, whatever. We don't have our thing. I don't we don't have a thumbs up. We don't have our own star rating system. We just say, yeah, we liked it.
Right. Well, and
do we
sometimes
really
we
like it
more,
or do we like it less?
Beware if we say we didn't like it, because then watch out.
I think we're pretty forgiving film reviewers. So for us to say we didn't like a film means it really just had some issues with it. So,
right.
yeah. And then we talked about some movie news as well. We talked about a lot of superhero sequels or, I guess they were all sequels. Guardians of the Galaxy, Deadpool, Logan. Talking about all those things. We talked about distribution of films. So some good stuff to talk about there. Chris, if people wanted to give us some feedback, talk with us, engage with us in any way, what would be the way you would recommend they do so?
You can jot us an email at info@themesh.tv and just tell us what you think. If there's a movie coming out you want us to review or you disagree with one of our opinions, let us know. Themesh.tv is also where you can go see on that website. There are lots of other podcasts you can check out. In addition to, we have our podcast. I don't even know how many episodes we have now, but you can check out our back episodes.
We've got a lot. You know how long we've been doing this show?
I don't.
God, it's been like 2011, 12?
Oh, okay.
It's been like several years.
Yeah, we've got a lot of episodes.
And we do between probably 20 and 25 episodes a year.
Something like that.
Wow. So we're over episode 100. Possibly by now?
I think, maybe.
We really need to have somebody check on that.
So
you and I both have so much free time. Why don't we we'll
right.
take care of that.
In that free time, Alan and I also post on Letterboxd where we talk about movies we've seen, just kind of keep an ongoing journal about movies we've seen. So that's another way you can try to keep up with what we're doing.
You can pretty much just see what I watch. You don't really know much my thoughts about it other than my star ratings. Unfortunately, I just need to make some more time to be a little more prolific in my writings online. So
fair enough.
Yeah. So and then The Mesh, as he mentioned, is a network of a lot of different shows, not just Footcandle Films. So we do recommend check out themesh.tv. Where you can find our show, plus a lot of other shows, some that I'm on as well, other topics. They're all free. That's the great thing about it. It's a podcast. You subscribe to it. Give us some feedback online, all those great things. So, all right, Chris, I think that's it for today's show.
Yeah,
great. So. We will be back soon, and we'll have some more films to review and other movie news and recommendations to give. So until then, take care, and we'll talk to you next time.
See you in the ticket line.
Watch news through the courtesy of Footcandle Film Society.
Special thanks to Carpal Tuller for the show theme music. For more about Carpal Tuller, visit www.carpaltuller.com. You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.
So, Chris, how would you fix Blue Jay?
So here's the thing. As I hinted at, Creep is pretty much a thriller, which is weird to see Mark Duplass in that type thing. Although he made The Lazarus Effect, I think, recently, which was supposedly a really bad horror movie. Didn't see that one, but did see Creep. In it, there's some dynamics going on, kind of some freaky stuff going on. I expected, it could have taken a turn where, like, he maybe killed his mom.
Oh, wow. You were going really dark with that.
Heck
Oh,
yeah.
boy.
Because it just like...
You thought they were going to go really twisted.
There was this tension, and you'd kind of set me up for the fact there's going to be something towards the end that kind of changes
I really
stuff.
wish I hadn't read or said that.
No, I mean, you would have kind of figured it was kind of coming.
No, but it affected me because I kept trying to think, what is it, this big thing that they're going to learn about?
I kept thinking, like, he killed his mom.
Wow. That would have been...
they were going to... She was going to, like,
that would have been wild.
She was going to... And see, I think that would have been amazing because that's the type of thing that Mark Duplass can do and an independent film can do is you have this whole film that's built on nothing but, like, this relationship thing and there is this good thing. And then, he goes to the bathroom and she keeps wandering around the house and sees his mom, like, lying in a bed dead. And she's like,
wow.
What just happened? Like, and like then the whole movie, granted, you feel like you've been cheated, but then it just takes this whole another direction. Like, I don't know, instead of
that
going
would have been
for
pretty crazy. I mean, I would have liked it. It's just, it would have been crazy.
Spoiler territory, because that's what this is. He just kind of throws up to her, like, why did you go and have the abortion?
Yeah.
They actually, were going to have a kid and he freaked out. They were in high school. She didn't know what to do. And, and then that's basically what drove them apart.
Yes.
So I feel like you could kind of see some big tension thing coming.
My whole issue with the ending, I liked your thought there. That would have been a really very different but very interesting film.
Or side note, what if they're continuing having their night and right after they have their fake anniversary dinner, his mom comes like walking in and he's lied to her and like his mom's actually alive. There was no and he was basically maybe he is from out of town. He came into town to like
really just try to connect with her,
or to try to connect with her,
or get some of his mom's stuff.
Get some of his stuff from his mom's house.
Yeah.
And he just happens to see her in the grocery store, fabricates this whole thing, thinks his mom is maybe out of town for the weekend. And maybe that's why he's there. His mom's going to be out of town on the week. He was crashing there because he's like this loser. And his mom comes walking in and she's like,
that would have been pretty wild.
What the heck? Like, and that there again, it's like, and that would have been that wouldn't have taken it down the dark path of, I guess, the horror movie, which is a little too extreme for this.
It almost becomes a little comical, almost.
But the lying about their mother, because you can tell he has issues and he never was really able to get over her. And so that would have worked better. Maybe maybe not kill the mom, but lie about her being dead.
And just in case anybody is listening to this and have not watched this movie, but it's just one of those people that likes to hear spoilers, please understand the movie is nothing like what we're describing right now. These options, okay? So there's no death, there's no murder or anything.
No.
So basically, we do have a situation like Chris said, where we know there's something that drove this couple apart.
Right.
And they're very uneasy at first coming back together.
Right.
They're a little unsure about how to be around each other. Then they fall into their familiar groove. But the whole time there's something hanging over their heads. And what I was mentioning is, when they're listening to old cassette tapes that they had recorded back when they were younger, there's a whole section of that. They're pretending like they're having their big 20th anniversary on the tape.
Right.
And they specifically mentioned kids that they had. And once they mentioned that, you see both of their faces they were smiling, listening to this tape, and then they both just stop. And there's this real uneasy tension.
See, I have to be honest, I didn't pick up on the fact that I thought, like, as they kept listening, they got maybe more sentimental because she has kids and he doesn't, and how they're married now. I didn't pick up on that's
why I got it right away. The fact that both of them just kind of stopped. I'm like, okay, something drove them apart. This was in high school. They were young. I bet you anything is they had to have an abortion.
Right.
And I didn't know it was going to be that she went and had it without really talking to him about it. That's what really drove them apart. I just knew something about an abortion probably is what's going on.
Right.
And the reason, I guess, the scene where Duplass just kind of breaks down, I just felt, Suzanne and I talked about, my wife and I talked about this.
He breaks down in the house. Like
yeah. They're basically getting intimate with one another, which you kind of felt like after the whole course of the evening, it was leading that point.
I was going to be so excited if that never happened. Because this whole movie, you kind of feel like, oh yeah, she's away from her husband.
Yeah.
He's there, like they've all, and like you just feel like there's magic there, and they rekindle everything, and you're like,
But
okay,
I think it did
know
the
where
right
this
thing.
is going.
But you put alcohol in the mix, you put them laughing and dancing and all that. Yes, it's going to lead there.
Right.
But it did stop.
It did.
And
Thank
I thought that was a
goodness.
very natural thing.
Right.
The way she reacted once she realized, well, this is not what I wanted to have happen out of this.
Right.
But then that's what led them to the discussion about the abortion. I just felt like his breakdown scene, it just seemed a little more, hey, let me aim for the fences here and really go over the top and really be dramatic with this scene.
Right.
And I just didn't feel like it warranted that from the rest of the movie. We know he's a little on edge. We know he's got some issues. We know he's got some anger issues.
And his mom just died.
His mom just died.
He did not kill her.
But having the breakdown he did, I get it. It's been bottled up in this guy for a long time.
Right.
But it was 15, 20 years ago. I understand him being upset. I understand him being frustrated. I understand him being saddened. But it just seemed way too over the top emotional for the rest of this, to work with the rest of the movie. And then obviously that raised her emotions. So that's why that whole breakdown scene is just like, ugh. I just don't feel like this is natural anymore. Where I felt like the whole rest of the movie was so natural. But it did redeem itself when it got back to the parking lot with the last shot. Because I did feel like that was more of what I wanted, is that dialogue they have there.
The parking lot felt a lot more natural. And, here again, we're spoiler territory. We both like the movie, so if you're listening to this. But I like the way how, they're kind of, you don't know what is going to end up happening because they're kind of at both of their cars. Or, but before they even say goodbye or whatever, it just cuts to black.
Well, what it cuts to,
and that was very, very,
well, it cuts
very
to, she starts
satisfying.
crying, which the comment earlier in the film was that she was on some depression medication and she hasn't cried in a really long time.
Right.
She starts crying. He starts laughing. They both start laughing about the fact that she's crying, and then cut. That's it.
Right.
It's like, yes, that worked.
Out.
That was, if nothing else, you could walk away from the film saying that it let her tap into some emotions that maybe she hasn't tapped into in a long time.
Right.
It let him get something out of his system that he hasn't had a chance to get out of his system. And if they part ways and never see each other again, they still both got some closure to the situation that they hadn't had for a really long time.
Well,
so that's what I took away from the film. That's why I liked it ultimately.
Yeah,
I just
agreed.
I really wish that one scene in the kitchen, that breakdown scene, had just been handled a little bit more delicately than what they allowed it to do.
Agreed.
So, but I do like your ideas for the alternative. They need to release a DVD version like with alternate endings, and it just go completely off the rails
Bonkers,
in a different direction.
And I think give you two options. Do you want to go way off the rails, the thriller horror thing with him killing his
Or just
mom,
a little off.
or do you want it to be like a little off?
That would be funny.
So,
That's really cool.
yeah.
Okay, good. End of spoiler time. I still say go see it, even if you just heard our whole description. You know the whole film now, so it's still worth seeing.
Or you can spite Netflix and wait till it comes on Netflix and not.
Yeah, you know what? That actually may not be a
iTunes.
better idea. Send
Spite
a
'em.
message to Netflix. Because honestly, if I had known it was a Netflix film before I clicked the rent button, I may have texted you and said, hey, let's not do this one. This is stupid. So
We'll see it in a month or two
We'll see it on
anyway.
Netflix. So anyway. All right. Sounds good. We'll see you guys next time.